Hi there, you are with the big story here. I'm Seher Zama. It's literally raining freebies in Delhi. The Delhi government having promised free Wi-Fi hotspots, providing free 200 units of electricity. The Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has now made a further announcement of bus rides to be free for women passengers starting 29th October in Delhi. The Chief Minister making it clear those who can afford the tickets need not take the subsidy. Encourage them to pass it on to others. Kejriwal further added, decision has primarily been taken because the AAP government is keen on improving women's safety in the state and in public transport. We should remember here the timing of these announcements. Assembly elections to be held in the national capital early next year, just a matter of a few months, and this is what we're asking this afternoon. Some of these promises, which were made earlier by the government as well, haven't been fulfilled. They're just being reintroduced just before the elections. Will this really help Delhiites? Let's in fact get in a quick input. I'm going to throw this open to my panelists with us here in just a bit, but first getting those details from our correspondent Ayushman. Ayushman, this is suspect with respect to the timing of these announcements here. Also, a lot of these with respect to free Wi-Fi hotspots, installation of CCTV, which hadn't been done in all these years, is just a question of reintroducing these promises just before the elections.
Well, if you remember, there was a question posed to Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in the press conference why it took so long for the government to introduce these changes and these freebies. The Chief Minister clearly said that in past 4 years, the government has been doing its bit, and in order to prioritize things, in order to bring them back on track so that these freebies can be given, this time was taken. And that is why, if you see their manifestos, these all were the promises which are done to the Delhiites, and they are delivering on it. So this is the statement which has been given by the CM itself, that it took time, but since it was in on poll manifesto, they are fulfilling that before going into the post. The opposition says that the work that hasn't been done in past 4.5 years, it is being compensated through that. But when we went to the people who are going to benefit from this, they say that in the recent scheme, if you see about the DTC, the women who were traveling on buses, they said that it is important, it is good initiative. At the same time, it must come with some restrictions, because this has anything to do but safety. They said not everything can be given free, and government should reconsider it. If they have to give it free, they can put some criteria over it. Not everybody should be given every facility for free.
That's right. And how does this exactly translate into safety, which is the reason given out by the Delhi government for introducing these free tickets? Ayushman, stay with us, please, on questions that are being raised by Delhiites here. Let's throw this open to our panelists. We have Mr. Raghav Chadha, spokesperson of AAP, with us. We also have Ritvika Bhattacharya, author, with us as well. First to you, Raghav, questions being asked with respect to the timing, but that is, of course, the political opposition asking these questions. But pertinently, you have women passengers saying that for those who can't afford free rides, it's great to be able to travel in public transport for free, which is inclusive only of buses for now. But it's not something that ensures safety. How does free tickets translate into women's safety? That is a question which is still being asked.
So a couple of quick points. First of all, public transport is regarded as the safest mode of transportation worldwide, and it's not just in India, across the world. There are various cities and global cities rather that have made public transport free for their citizens in order to enhance the measures taken in terms of safety and security. Now, Delhi, unfortunately, is known as the rape capital of the country. Law and order situation is fairly and squarely with the Delhi police, and therefore the principal responsibility of ensuring safety and security of women is also of the Delhi police. There are very few steps that a government like the Delhi government with limited jurisdiction when it comes to safety and security of women can take. So one of the major steps that Mr. Kejriwal's government has taken is making metro as well as bus rides free for women, so that they are able to reclaim public spaces, and public transport, which is regarded as the safest mode of public transportation, they stand to benefit from that. That's one. Number two, apart from this measure. You need not look at this in isolation. There are 3-4 other measures that this government has taken for safety and security of women. For example, we have deployed bus marshals in every DTC bus that is plying on the streets of Delhi. We have installed more than 3.5 lakh CCTV cameras across the city, and we're in the process of installing a couple of more lakh CCTV cameras. Fast track courts are being set up, so on and so forth. So a number of things have been done by the Delhi government to ensure safety and security of women. This was one of our promises. And to all those who critique this step by brushing it under the carpet, or dismissing it by saying that it's a drain on the exchequer or it's a freebie, my only humble response to them is that India is a welfare state. Delhi is a welfare state. Our constitution says that we have to run a welfare state, and therefore the government has over the last 4.5 years strengthened the financial position of its treasury, and therefore we are in a position to give such schemes and such benefits to the people of Delhi, and people of Delhi are welcoming this. They are extremely happy with this move.
Okay. Ritika, would you like to respond to this? To how much does all of this translate into one being pegged as safety for women? This is going to bring about safety. It's free bus rides for now. A free metro ride still hasn't come. It's an announcement. The Delhi government is still working on it. Not sure if it can come through with the central government on board here on this. But these are announcements that were made earlier as well. If we look at free Wi-Fi hotspots, several of them, the numbers that we're looking at, a certain part that had been announced earlier as well. Do you feel that this is a question of reintroducing a lot of the promises earlier that hadn't been met with by the government?
Absolutely. I think Mr. Chadha mentioned that it's about women reclaiming public spaces, and I completely agree with him in spirit. That's something that's necessary. However, I'm not sure if free rides is what will make women reclaim public spaces. He raised a very valid point about putting in place marshals. I think it is basically the lack of safety. It is feeling unsafe in these public spaces, which is leading women not to take public transportation. It is not an economic question. It is not a question of lack of resources. It is a question of actually having those places be safe. So while, I think in terms of providing women with free rides, I'm sure it will have some positive effect. I'm sure it'll have a lot of negative repercussions on the economy of the state of Delhi. However, having said that, I'm not convinced that saying that providing women with free bus rides or metro rides will result in providing more safe spaces for women. I think there needs to be more focus on figuring out how we place, for example, CCTV cameras. How do we put in place the basic infrastructure that can keep women safe? There needs to be a focus on that. Calling a spade a spade. Look, I've made a promise. I need to kind of fulfill the promise, and this is how I'm doing it. I think honestly, the voter would appreciate that a lot more, as opposed to just kind of saying, no, this is about women and safe spaces.
Right. Well, stay on with us, please. Raghav, I know you want to come in at this point, but let's quickly, in fact, take a listen into that statement that had come in from the Delhi Chief Minister and the opposition reacting to that.
29 अक्टूबर से दिल्ली की सभी बसों में डीटीसी बसें और क्लस्टर बसें 29 अक्टूबर से दिल्ली की सभी बसों के अंदर महिलाओं के लिए सफर फ्री होगा।
जो बादशाह हैं दिल्ली के जो चाहे ऐलान कर सकते हैं, जो विकलांग हैं, जो बुजुर्ग हैं, जो नौजवान प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटीज में पढ़ रहे हैं, उनको भी क्यों नहीं दिया जाता ये मौका?
ये मुख्यमंत्री अरविंद केजरीवाल सिर्फ घोषणाएं कर रहे हैं भैया, क्योंकि उन्होंने पिछले 5 साल के अंदर काम नहीं किए, तो अब उनको लगता है कि हम बहुत सारी चीज़ों को मुफ्त देकर दिल्ली की जनता का विश्वास प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। इन्हीं बसों के अंदर उसने सुरक्षा गार्डों की बात की थी, सुरक्षा गार्ड नहीं आए। उन्होंने सीसीटीवी की बात की थी, सीसीटीवी नहीं आए। वाईफाई की बात की थी, वाईफाई नहीं आई।
Let's in fact get in our correspondent Ayushman with those details. Ayushman, Mr. Raghav Chadha had raised the issue of placing marshals in DTC buses, CCTV for video surveillance as well. I remember we'd done a ground check on this sometime last year. This is, of course, a reiteration that has come in from the Delhi government in February this year. To what extent is this working on ground, and to what extent are we seeing an addition to that earlier promise, or once again, is this just reiterating what we'd heard 4 years ago, having marshals on DTC buses, having CCTV cameras for surveillance?
Well, at least, Seher, on the DTC buses, you can spot few marshals, definitely is there, but there is one person who looks after things along with the driver and the conductor. There is a marshal deployed in the DTC buses. On the other hand, the CCTV cameras, sadly, we don't find any CCTV camera in any of the buses. The women to whom we talked about, who are the epicenter of all this, they said it's not that merely freely allowing the women to ferry on the DTC buses would solve the problem. It is very important to, from the safety point of view, that you introduce a system where there is a strict vigil maintained on the buses. That is the need of the hour. That is what the passengers, women commuters say, that it is very important that all those people who are getting on the bus and who are getting down from the bus, there is a vigil maintained from the DTC side, so that the free services which is being given, few have welcomed it, but many of them do feel that a lot has to be done in this, making these travel safer. They don't feel that right now traveling in a bus is that safe. They feel that much can be done from the government side, and the government should introduce some changes.
Okay. Let's in fact take that forward. We're going to play out those reactions of women passengers in just a bit. But Raghav, this is what the Delhi government would still need to convince people about here, on how are free rides translating into safety for women in the public space, in the public transport. It's not exactly a sound argument to saying that, look, we're giving you free tickets, you're safe now.
Right. So a couple of quick responses. First of all, this argument of people who are evaluating the standalone proposal that this is perhaps going to solve all the safety and security related issues, or is not going to solve all the safety and security related issues, is absolutely wrong. I said in my opening remarks that the principal responsibility of ensuring safety and security of women is that of the Delhi police. We are, with our limited legroom that is available to us, are trying to do certain things. One of the various things that we are doing in order to ensure, and this is not the silver bullet for ensuring safety and security of women, is making them, encouraging them, facilitating the use of public transport by more and more women, so that they reclaim public spaces and it becomes safer. Now I can quote n number of instances where where women have to resort to unstructured modes of transportation, and that has led to various unfortunate incidents. And why we are in a sense trying to make this free for women is to encourage them. One. Number two, on the point of making this announcement earlier and now making the promise good, somebody on the panel, I think the reporter or the other panelist, said that it's like we are now making the promises good right before the elections. Now my simple response to this is that whether it's Wi-Fi, whether it's CCTV cameras, or whether it's making travel free for women, all these promises were made, and we got into office for a period of 5 years.
Yes.
It took us some time to deliver on various promises. It took us no time to deliver on many such promises, right? So there is a time frame in which the government operates. There are some promises that can be made good in the first 6 weeks, and there are some that are made good in the in close to 60 months. So therefore, it is wrong to judge a government purely on the basis
can we see
of
some
what
of these
they've done in the
promises
last 1 month,
fructifying here in a matter of just 6 months? If understandably, but if it's about installing CCTV cameras in DTC buses, which hasn't happened for the entire fleet, it's about having marshals, which has come in installments, hasn't happened. Can this really happen in just 6 months? Ritika, in your view, this is like a culmination in just the last 5 to 6 months that we're looking at. Free rides, marshals on the entire fleet, CCTV for all the fleet, which hadn't happened so far or happened in installments, and suddenly we should feel happy that all of this is happening, could happen in 6 months. Particularly when the Delhi government has constantly been accusing the LG's office and the central government that they've not been able to work. Your standalone excuse there, Raghav Chadha, of the AAP government was that the central government and the LG's office, listen me out please, the LG's office was not allowing you to work. How is the LG's office now allowing you to work in just this brief period of 6 months? It seems that things were already in your hands. Ritika, please respond to that.
So I agree with
respond. Now, first of all, no, let me respond. These are allegations that
let's have Ritika on this.
Give me an opportunity to respond.
Okay, I will come back to you, please. Raghav,
let me
Ritika,
just briefly respond
your view on this.
Give me 30 seconds.
A tiny window of last 5 to 6 months of what we're looking at, as opposed to what should have been delivered in the course of the past 4.5 years.
So I do think that there is, questioning the AAP government and essentially asking what they've done and where they are, I think is very valid. In this particular instance, I think the contention is not so much a judgment on the government, but essentially the judgment arises to begin with is because free rides are being correlated to providing women safety. And I think that is the major bone of contention, is how can anyone say that, free rides will lead to a safer space for women in any which way, like going ahead and saying, you can reclaim public spaces, which can then lead to more women coming out, which can then lead to, it seems far off. And I think it's kind of bringing attention to something which has already been there and then making false, I would not say false, but definitely far-stretched claims as to where they need to be, which is why I think a lot of eyeballs are coming back and saying, well, how can you promise this when in fact the basics haven't been done?
Right. Yes, Raghav Chadha, let's also look at the window of period that you've had. Yes, the window of period that you've had in all these months and years that we've heard that the central government is not allowing you to work, and now suddenly we have so much that the Delhi government can do in 6 months. Please respond.
Yeah, so let me respond. Yes. In all fairness, give me an opportunity to respond. Number one, we maintain that the Lieutenant Governor has crippled governance of Delhi, and we have for the last 4.5 years, struggled to get each and every file cleared. We have been struggling and we have been persevering, and that is the reason why, for example, a file like CCTV installation was held up at the LG's office for more than 18 months. It took us 18 months to get that file cleared from the LG's office, and therefore you would have seen the installation of CCTVs in 2017 or in 2018, but you did not, because the file was held up at the LG's office. After our perseverance and our struggle, we got that cleared, and now you are seeing the installation of CCTV cameras. Notwithstanding with the bureaucratic as well as the administrative hurdles that have been created at the behest of our political adversaries, we have delivered. And I challenge you, challenge your channel to go through the 70-point manifesto that we had published in the month of January 2015 in the run-up to the elections. We have delivered on every promise that we had made, and I'm proud to say this, that we are the only government in this country that has delivered on every manifesto promise that we made. Number two, you talk about the delivery of these services. As I said at the outset, we delivered on some of the promises in the first 6 weeks of getting into office, like reducing the electricity rates, making water free for households, etc. But there were some promises that could have only been made good when we had a good financial as well as administrative strength. It took us 4 years to build that. And whether it's Wi-Fi, whether it's CCTV cameras, every promise is being made good. There are more than 3.5 lakh CCTV cameras that have been installed in every nook and corner of Delhi. Bus marshals are there in every DTC bus, and in the event where you find a DTC bus that there are no bus marshals in, you let us know and we will rectify that. We are open to suggestions. Even when we came out with this scheme of making metro as well as DTC buses free for women, we said we are going to accept suggestions and your recommendations for 6 long weeks, and you can send us your suggestions. We will evaluate your suggestions, and we will most certainly consider and inculcate those solutions in our policy decision.
Many leaders from the opposition also passenger voices here that could work out as suggestions here for you. Right. Raghav, let's in fact take a listen to some of these reactions that our team has got of women passengers and what they think about free bus rides.
फायदा ही है, फायदा, और फायदा तो होगा ही, लेकिन अब जब होगा तब पता चलेगा।
नहीं, फायदा भी होगा पर कुछ नुकसान भी नहीं इसमें।
क्या है नुकसान?
नुकसान ये है कि हर एक बंदा देखेगा कि थोड़े से काम के लिए जाना, बस में चढ़ जाओ, भीड़ भड़का बढ़ जाएगा, ठीक है ना, ये सब होगा।
सिक्योरिटी नहीं रहेगी क्योंकि आजकल लेडीज़ भी हार्मफुल हैं बस में, हर लेडीज़ सेफ नहीं होती है, जैसे पता है आजकल लेडीज़ भी थीव्स बन के घूम रही है बस में। अगर ऐसा होगा तो कोई भी चढ़ जाएगा बस में।
सिक्योरिटी तो मतलब किसी नहीं है, अगर किसी बस में है तो पुलिस वाले हैं और किसी में नहीं है, तो इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है।
All right, so Raghav, you heard that there is still a problem in putting the two on the same plane. Fayda hai, but there is budgetary, as far as budgetary progress for people here is concerned, who can get onto the bus if they can't afford it. And you're also saying for people who can afford it, willingly do away with that subsidy, but they're not managing to make that correlation. This is something that has just been pitched by the Delhi government, that yes, Delhi safety is a huge issue. Delhi women population is a huge vote bank for the government, and therefore we will pitch this with respect to Delhi safety, whether or not it makes sense or not. It is not making sense for people if you're pitching this as a cause for women's safety.
Look, first of all, it is absolutely open for you as well as our political adversaries to look at it from the prism or from the lens of elections, the upcoming elections. But the fact is that this has no correlation, because we had promised this much before. And the second and the most important point is that as far as safety and security of women is concerned, our government is committed. And as far as the messaging is concerned, of course, there may be certain sections of people who may not fully understand the rationale or the reasoning of the government, and we are absolutely more than willing to have a dialogue with them and make them explain our point of view. And if there is anything wrong in our point of view, we're willing to correct that as well, and I've said that on your show. But as far as this question regarding the free metro rides and free bus travel is concerned, this is an opt-in, opt-out scheme.
Right.
You have to opt in. Those I hope who are financially well off will not opt in for a scheme like this, who can afford a metro ride or a bus ride, but those who come from the economically weaker section of society, who cannot financially afford a regular bus or metro travel, would stand to benefit from this. Just how the union government asked the people to give up their LPG subsidy, the gas cylinder subsidy, and a lot of families did actually give up the subsidy. Similarly, I feel that a lot of people would not want to benefit from this, because they are in a position to financially bear the cost of transportation.
Yes, Ritika, very quickly, step in here on this. Is there something that you would like to counter here on this, that this is going to be optional and in all good faith, this is going to be working as an option for those who can afford it? We're not going to be taking those subsidies then.
Absolutely. So I think the consistent problem with this program is that what it's trying to solve is very unclear. So if it's not women's safety, is it that the assumption is that women need the financial support so that they can, go out and work? I'm not sure that there is enough thought that's put into it, and it's going to be a huge financial drain for the city of Delhi. Being someone who lives in Delhi, being someone who pays taxes in Delhi, I'm now going to be concerned about the fact that where does the money go? Why is the government providing subsidy to a problem statement that might not even exist, that women don't necessarily need free bus passes? So I come back to is, why is this happening? Very fundamentally, why are women being provided free bus passes, including myself? Why would I need a free bus pass? Whether or not I need it, why does this exist?
All right, Raghav, a final point here to you before we wrap up. Once again, there is confusion, not being able to ascertain what exactly the Delhi government is looking at here on this.
Well, there may be confusion in your mind. There isn't any confusion in the mind of the people. I think they very well understand the rationale behind this move. As I said, women will reclaim public spaces, and public transport, which is regarded as the safest mode of transportation, will be open to women.
But 2 out of the 4 responses there, Raghav, if you heard that, 2 out of the 4 responses of women passengers made it very clear that if it's free, it's great for us, but it doesn't ensure safety.
Right.
You
So,
heard those reactions. We played out those for you to understand
Well,
what those suggestions would be. They're not being able to understand. They say that it's not about the Delhi government working for safety.
Right,
It's about
so-
the Delhi government catering to a certain class here, which is about budgetary allocation. It's not making sense to pitch this as women's safety. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it at that with this thought here that those announcements that have come in from the Delhi
I can
government,
make you
one, that
meet
there are a lot
some 400
of
people
those
who
that
will
should
say,
have
you've made
been
me meet
met
4,
with
I'll
and
make you meet
promised in the
400.
past 4
No,
and
hold on.
1.5 years. We are looking at a culmination. Also, it's clear, Raghav, that if we've had the Delhi government in 4.5 years struggling to meet with certain promises, can we really believe that all of this is going to squeeze down in a tiny window of 6 months? That's the question here being asked. A lot of the work that should have been done here by the government in the past 4.5 years, in fact, is squeezed down to just 6 months. Let's, in fact, very quickly wrap up with one Delhiite voice, Delhi citizen Chandan Agarwal. Please go ahead.
I want to say that I come from an area where there are fights over water scarcity on regular basis. The electricity situation has been worse. There are no new roads, no new hospitals, no new orphanages, nothing. केजरीवाल has destroyed Delhi systematically. और हम जब भी स्टेट के बाहर जाते हैं तो लोग हमको गाली बकते हैं कि तुम्हारा सीएम केजरीवाल है. It's so sad and shameful.
All right, so this is, of course, with respect to other promises here, with respect to road construction infrastructure, which, of course, has absolutely dipped, pulled down in the past few years that we've seen. We appreciate our panelists here speaking with us, our correspondent Ayushman here with this as well, with those details here. Hopefully, of course, people of Delhi would be able to see through these freebies that are being announced just quickly before the elections, whether or not they're really going to be working on ground to make our life better in the national capital. Thank you for being with us.